Hey everybody, good morning and welcome to week 2 of the Expired Listing Bootcamp. Today we're going to be talking about prospecting for the expired listings. Last week we talked a little bit about the need for a business plan. And if you remember, we mentioned if you don't have a business plan, then you do have a plan. It's a plan to fail. So we didn't need that. We also talked about why expired listings mattered to you. And if you remember, part of that is it matters to you because it adds to your bottom line and they are the lifeblood of your business. But we also said that agents are reluctant to work with expireds, and we wanted to know why. Well, a lot of times they're reluctant to work with them because they think everybody is working with them, or they think they are angry people and they're afraid. They don't think they know what to say, how to overcome objections, and so forth. But remember, there are some great benefits for working with expireds. And one of the first ones was, they're easy to find. They're out there. They have already tried to sell, and they probably think that they know why it didn't sell, and that could be because of price. There's all kinds of reasons and benefits to working with expireds. I mean, they add to your bottom line. They realize that the last agent couldn't sell, so you probably could. So get there and take a look at the benefits. So that's a quick review. And we also had some homework for last week. So how did it go? Did you get your homework done? Do you have your 1 and 3 year visions in place? What about your 90-day weekly plan or the 90-day goal? Do you have that in place? Remember, I talked about identifying the biggest challenge, obstacle, or opportunity that you have. So, did you identify those? And if so, what are some of the challenges that you're facing working with expireds? Or what obstacles do you face? We know there's plenty of opportunity. So, if you've got those things, what do you need to start developing in order to overcome those challenges so that you get your weekly plan in place? Remember, the weekly plan is what leads to the 90-day plan, which leads to the 1-year goal, which also then leads to the 3-year goal. So what we've done is we've just broken down the 90-day plan, the 1-year plan. We've broken them down into your weekly plan. So if each week you take a little bite, how do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time. Well, how do you reach your 1 and 3-year goals? It's 1 day at a time. So do you have that plan in place? Were you able to do that? If not, make sure you get it done this week because everything starts snowballing. So with that, let's talk about the goals for this week. The first goal for this week is to learn how to prospect. Learn how to prospect a listing. We're going to talk about the skills that you need to master in order to prospect for an expired listing. And then we're going to talk about how to prepare to prospect. You don't just get on the phone and call. That's the first mistake. there are methods to prospecting. We're going to identify some of those and some of the keys to success. Now, along with keys to success, there are also mistakes that agents make. And then we're going to look at some follow-up. So let's jump right in. And the first thing we're going to do is define what prospecting is. According to Webster, prospecting is seeking a potential client. But seeking that potential client as an expired listing, how do many agents view that? Well, many agents view it as a waste of time because they're never going to get the listing. They've tried it, it doesn't work. There is also another way they look at it, and that's they see it as boring because they're on the phone all the time trying to get a listing, and all they get is an answering machine. So, I guess the next question to ask is, why even prospect at all? Well, in order to be successful, we have to generate buyers and sellers. Just like last week, I said, they are the lifeblood of your business. They improve your bottom line. So that's why we have to prospect. We want to be successful. And in order to be successful, the lifeblood of our business needs to be improved upon. And we can improve that bottom line by prospecting expireds. Now, the purpose of prospecting is to develop prospective clients for the business. Real estate prospecting is a process, and it involves two distinct steps. The first one is creating leads. That's what we do. We also have to identify which leads we want to work with, because there are some that we don't. I mean, if we get a lead for an apartment complex or some commercial property, we don't want that. We're working with residential leads. We need to identify the leads that we are interested in working with. We also need to have the ability to make these leads clients. There are sometimes we get leads where there's no way they're going to be our client. We don't want them. We don't want that type of person. Now, identify the lead is step one. Step two is to secure a face-to-face appointment. That's what we want to do. We want that face-to-face appointment. That's how we're going to make money. Now then, there are 5 pillars of prospecting. So make sure you're taking notes here. The first pillar is set a daily time. You can't work prospecting around your day. You have to work your day around prospecting. You have to prospect to be successful. You need to fill the pipeline, fill the funnel, get prospects in so that you can eventually work it to a closing. The second pillar is you've got to get rid of those distractions. You've got to fight off all the distractions that you can. Most agents are welcoming distractions. That takes them away from prospecting. And nobody wants to prospect. but it's something that you have to do. And the third pillar is to follow the plan. Success boils down to taking the right steps in the right order. If you're not following your plan, you're going to get sidetracked. You're going to get distracted. Nothing is going to happen. So follow your plan. And remember, you've got to work the plan with purpose. That means you have to know who you're going to call each day and for what reason. Keep remembering, the main thing you are trying to do is to secure a face-to-face appointment. That's what you want to do. That's the end result. And how do you get that? By staying dedicated. Make sure your daily objective is to complete your prospecting down to the very last one. Don't let one of those leads that you get away. Call them all. Make it happen. Now, so what I'm saying is the keys to success is to work them consistently and make sure that you are working them with commitment. You are committed to doing it. You are not going to let those distractions get you. You are committed. You are going to make sure that you get a face-to-face appointment. Now, so what ends up happening is most agents who really claim to be working expireds only do so at the end of the month or in the middle of the month. They do it sporadically, haphazardly. Most listings come due at the 15th or the end of the month. So that's when agents jump out there. But in reality, there's a listing expiring every day. And if you search for them and you get them and you call them and you work them as diligently as you can, you will get good at this and they will become the lifeblood of your business. You will be very successful with even just one arrow in your quiver. That's what's going to happen. But you're going to get more than that. So you've got to be successful, you've got to work them consistently. And you've got to have some skills. One of the main skills you really need is your aim needs to be to pique the interest and give them a compelling argument for the reason they should take time to see your presentation, that they should talk to you. You've got to get that interest and you've got to pique it in the first few seconds that you're on the phone, because what happens is most expired listings have a reflex, and that reflex is to say no. So we've got to get rid of that. You've got to grab their attention right off the bat. And how do you do that? You do that by showing confidence. If you speak with confidence, you're going to get their attention, because most agents they lack confidence. They don't have the confidence that you are going to gain. The next thing is, remember, do it daily. Prospect every single day. And with that, you need to have some bullet points put up so that you know roughly what you're going to say. Your dialogue needs to be focused. You've got to be like an attorney. Go from point A to point B to point C. Lead that prospect along the system. Lead them along so that they end up right where you want them to end up. So your dialogue you have has to be very focused, and you have to deliver it strong. You've got to let them know that you know what you're talking about and you are confident that you can get their home sold. And with that, that message needs to be irresistible. You have to be able to, with confidence, answer the question, answer the objections. And yes, we're going to go over the objections in the 4th week, but you are going to have all the confidence and the focused ability to deliver a strong, irresistible message. And like I said, you are going to be able to handle all the objections so that you have the ability to win the appointment, to get in front of them so that you can and you will get the appointment. Now, that's what you're going to gain from this. But, there are mistakes that agents make. And the first one is they don't really understand how prospecting works. It's hard. It is not something you just pick up a phone and call somebody and say, hey, I'm an agent, I want to list your house. No, prospecting, you have to be organized. You've got to have everything laid out in front of you so that when an objection comes, you've got the response. When they ask you a question about how you are different from other agents, you've got the response. And not only that, you have to expect, most agents expect things to get better on their own. Well, they're not going to. You have to work at it. You've got to sharpen your saw. You have to be the one that gets things done, that makes things happen. It doesn't happen on its own. And another big mistake agents make is that they talk too much. They talk way too much. You're supposed to throw a question out that gets the person on the other end of the line to talk so that you can listen and you can hear what they're saying, so that you can know what to do to lead them down the path to setting the appointment. Now, many times agents kill their chances by using the wrong words. They use words that either the person on the other end, the prospect, doesn't understand or rings untrue with them, whatever. But you have to practice what you preach. You can't just say something and then go on the appointment and say something else. No, or not do it. You have to practice what you preach. Now, in continuing, every time you go on an appointment, guess what you need to do? You need to ask for a referral. Many times the expired listing, the prospect, they're not going to sign with you, but they might know somebody that they can refer you to. And referrals are a great source to increase your bottom line. So ask for a referral. If they sign with you, get a referral. If they don't, get a referral. And your prospects, they can tell when you are lacking security or insecurity. So don't lack sincerity either. Your sincerity is what leads them to security. That's what makes them feel secure with you, that you can identify with them, that you understand them. They can also tell when you're not paying attention. And if you don't pay attention to all the little things that they're talking about, that they're saying, you're going to miss the vital little details that you need to get them to the next step. Whatever that next step is it another call? Is it a follow-up? Is it something you need to send them? Whatever it is, it's the next step. Like in your business plan, you have steps. Well, in the call, you have steps to eventually get them to the meeting, face-to-face meeting. So these are some of the things you have to do. Pay attention. Show sincerity. Ask for referrals. Get that to happen. Because if you don't, you are going to get yourself into a slump. And if you get into a slump, then you're going to say, no, I don't want expireds. I don't like them. I don't want to call them. And it's not because of the prospect. It's because you didn't pay attention. You weren't sincere. Don't get in a slump. And by all means, keep in touch. Don't let them get away from you. If they say no, stay in touch. Put them in a drip campaign that's going to keep them in touch with you for the future. If they're ready right now, stay in touch. Give them other pointers. Give them other pertinent information that will cause them to want to give you a referral. Okay. Those are mistakes that agents make. I know, not you, because you're in this program and you are going to learn how to avoid these things. So let's talk about targeting your prospects. Okay, the first thing you've got to do is you have to be able to identify the prospect you want to work with. So when you get your list, wherever you get your list from of expireds, identify the ones you want to work with. Get rid of the rest of them. The ones you want to work with are the ones that have a house to list that's in your sweet spot or in your sweet area, something like that. And you want to also make sure that your prospect has a need for your service. Many times when you immediately get on the phone and you see that something has happened in life that has changed their need to want to sell or have to sell, they're no longer a prospect that you're going to get. But you don't know that till you contact them. And then they go into a drip campaign for something else. Now, for further down the road. So with that, there's also the generalist specialist. Okay, what do I mean by generalist versus specialist? Most real estate agents are generalists. They will do anything for anybody. They will list any type property. They will show you, they will work with buyers for anything, versus a specialist. A specialist is somebody who only works in exclusive area, an exclusive type of listing, or with a particular type of buyer. So if you're sick, you're going to go to the doctor. Do you want to go to a GP, a general practitioner, or do you want to go to a specialist? Obviously, if you've got cancer, you want to go to a specialist. You've got a heart issue, you want to go to a heart doctor. If you have, whatever it is, you want somebody who specializes in what your problem is. So when you start looking at prospects, they have problems. They have one major problem. If it's an expired listing, their home didn't sell. So what do they want? Another real estate agent to whom they think is going to lie to them? No, they want a specialist. Somebody who specializes in homes that didn't sell the first time. So there, I just gave it to you. That's who you are. You are a specialist. You specialize in homes that didn't sell the first time. That's how you differentiate yourself from other realtors. Myself, my specialty is marketing. I am a marketing specialist. When it comes to getting your home sold, I am a marketing specialist. I put your house in front of every possible buyer that there is for your home. So you need to come up with an opening. Like I said, it's the first few seconds. You come up with that opening that separates you from other realtors. So it might start off with something along the lines of, I see your home didn't sell. It just so happens that I specialize in homes that didn't sell the first time. Something that is going to get the prospect, the expired listing, to listen to you. It's going to be a pattern interrupt. That's what you're going to do. Okay, so let's get back on target here. How do we find expired listings? Well, I mean, duh, you're a real estate agent. You know where you find them. In the MLS. That's where they are. But with the MLS, there is a problem. Part of the problem is the MLS doesn't give you names and phone numbers on how to contact these individuals. So there are third-party services. There's RedX. There's LandVoice, Vulcan 7, Mojo, Expresso Agent. There are many third-party services that are out there that will supply you the name and contact information. Some will give you the phone number. Some will give you an email address. Yes, they're not all going to be right. Many phone numbers will be wrong. Many email addresses won't be right. But that's okay. These third-party programs, these third-party providers, yes, they cost money. And they're not all accurate. But they are better at saving you time than it is to go in and try to find the name and phone number, email address, or whatever it is you need to contact the expired listing. I have found Mojo is great with their dialer. Many of these services, every morning, bingo, there you go. You've got the expired listing. You've got the contact name. You've got the phone number. You've got the history of the price decreases, increases, whatever. You've got all that information right there. So you are pretty much prepared and ready to go to make the phone call, aren't you? Oh, no, you're not. Because not only do you need that, but you need to have a basic idea of what you are going to say on the call. Now, I'm a big proponent of not having a script, but having bullet points. Because the minute you have a script, you try reading the script when you're on the phone and it sounds just like you're reading it. And if they ask you a question, you get thrown off your script. Sometimes you can't find your way back or you get lost. So bullet points work a lot better and they keep you moving along where you want to be to get to the point to where you ask for the appointment. So a script with bullet points is great to have before you start making the calls. Also, there are objections that you are going to face when you start the call. The seller is going to immediately have an objection. I want to wait till the spring. I want to wait till the fall. I'm going to try it myself. They have all kinds of objections. So what you need to do is make sure you stay here through week 4 when we cover objections so that you know how to address the objection. So you've got the objections hanging on the wall next to you, bullet pointed, the objection, your response. And it will help you seem natural. But make sure you do a lot of role playing so that you become natural with answering the objections. Now, every call has a goal. And what is the goal? You all know. The goal is to get a face-to-face appointment. And you can do that. You can do that. You're going to be able to for sure by the end of this program. Now, what else do you need to do? Well, they're going to ask you, how are you different from my last agent? Or what are you going to do different? So you need to be able to answer that question. Make sure you've got that prepared and you've got that written somewhere and you can spout it off just like an elevator speech. How are you different? Well, I'm different because I am a marketing specialist. I specialize in getting your home in front of every possible buyer there is. So what we do is we have to find a way to have an opening statement that differentiates you from other agents. Okay, when we're talking about marketing to the expireds, we are talking about marketing to the expireds. What we mean is it's a lot like a courtship. And by courtship, you don't get married on the first date. You normally have to date for a while. You don't go from dating to marriage. There's steps. You've got to build a relationship. Well, that's the same thing that you have to do when you're marketing to expireds. You've got to treat them with kid gloves in a way. You can't be too aggressive, but yet you have to be aggressive enough that you continually move them down the path toward the end result, which is a face-to-face meeting. So that's what you have to do when you're marketing to them. However, you really don't want to do anything that's going to make you seem pushy or overbearing. There's a fine line between overbearing, pushy, and being aggressive. So you've got to find that balance. You've got to find what meets your personality and the prospect's personality. You've got to kind of match those things and mirror them so that you are aggressive, but you're not overbearing. Now, the market for expireds obviously is quite competitive, and with that, that means there's a lot of money to be made in it. And if there's a lot of money to be made in it, everybody is going to be trying to do it, at least those that are starting out in the business, because that's what their brokers tell them to do. Go after the expired listings. So it's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be a real dogfight. You're going to have agents that will say anything they can to get the listing, and you're going to have the seller that is looking at you saying, how is it you are different than anybody else? Why should I list with you? So you've got to be able to answer those questions. And when we look at marketing, we look at two methods. One is offline and one is online. So looking at this, the offline is postcards. It's letters. It's cold calling. It's door knocking. Now, those are the main four. Let's talk about this for a minute because there's advantages and disadvantages of both on and offline. Well, let's look at the postcards. You've got to buy the postcards. You've got to pay for the postage. The letters, you've got to pay for the toner. You got to pay for the ink. You've got to pay for the paper. You got to pay for the postage, the envelope, the cold calling. Okay, it seems like there's no cost there, but there is cost there because there's time. There's a lot of time involved, and you've got to get motivated for it. Um, Door knocking. Oh my gosh, door knocking. You're going to go out in the heat. You're going to go out in the cold. You're going to knock on the door and there's nobody home. You're going to knock on the door and it's going to be the wrong person. It's going to be the kids. The parents are gone. What do? Do you have printed up leave behinds? That's an expense. So offline, yes, it's there. There's a lot of people that do it because it's pretty easy. You address a postcard, you mail it. You got a form letter, fill it in, you mail it. Cold calling, ouch! People are scared. They don't want to pick up the phone. The receiver weighs so much money, or the cell phone weighs so much. It's scary. You don't know what you're going to get at the other line. Door knocking. It's hot. It's long. It takes all day. Oh my goodness. Okay, now we're going online. You've got the social media. You've got Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube. You've got social media posts on Facebook and Twitter, LinkedIn. You got videos for TikTok and YouTube. You've got to get it done. Okay, that's relatively easy. You can get that stuff done to kind of reach out. You don't have to face the prospect on the phone. You don't have to worry about an objection. It's not coming, at least not from the social media piece. You can refer them to a website. You can text. You can email. You can send all this stuff. There's a lot of people doing online and they're doing it differently. There's very few that are still doing it as I call, the old-fashioned way. So The question is, which method is best? Well, let's think about it. The internet has made marketing so easy that you've got everybody now doing it. They're all trying to compete online. They can hide behind a computer screen and just send posts, send text, emails, whatever. So everybody is trying to compete online for the expired listing. And now there's others that are doing the offline method, and they think it's better, and they're getting great results without having to compete with the entire world. So, I mean, there's pros and cons to both. The reality is, most people are going to take the easiest option there is, and that's the easiest option for them. And in the end, it's a personal choice. Which is easier for you? To pick up the phone and call somebody, or to send them a text or an email? Which one works best for your personality? Which is your choice? There's not a right nor a wrong, they're just different. So, whichever method fits you, that's the one that you do. And whichever one you're going to do, that's the one you do. So you've got to do something to add to your bottom line. And that's what I suggest to do. Whichever one, the online or offline method, fits you, you do. So, how do we secure the listing? Well, it's a pretty simple process, and I don't want you to overcomplicate it. There's the straightforward steps. You're going to contact them, and you want the next step to be a face-to-face meeting. Well, in the middle, what is there? There's letters or postcards, there's a phone call. What is it? Maybe a door knock. Okay, well, each one of those comes with things that you have to do. For example, if you're going to be calling, you've got to have a script laid out. If you're going to be door knocking, you've got to have a script memorized in your head. You have to have leave behinds. If you're going to be on the phone, you've got to have your objections laid out. You've got to have all of this done and ready to go. The problem with securing the listing is it's pretty much all you have to do is make a phone call or a series of phone calls and you've got it. Yet there are agents that create these elaborate systems that involve mailing of postcards and letters, direct mail packages. They do everything they can possibly do to jam the owner's mailbox with all these cutesy, clever, corny things, when in reality, all they really needed to do was make a phone call. Because those that mail all that stuff, they're going to finish second. They're going to be behind those that make the phone call. Why? Because when you get down to it, yes, everybody is competing for the owner's attention, but the one that grabs the attention is the personal contact. Everything else, there's no personal contact. There's no feeling. There's no emotion behind it. You can't answer any questions that the prospect might have. So the best way to do it is a combination of online, offline. And the phone call is great if you can get somebody. So that works great. And regardless of what method you use, you've still got to follow up, because there are those that you will not reach. There are those that you will reach by text. There are those that you're going to reach by call, or you have to leave voicemail or whatever. But you have to have them in your pipeline, in your CRM, so that they are consistently and constantly getting stuff from you. That keeps you top of mind. That if you didn't get the appointment on the first call, some of the follow-up materials that you send them will help solidify the fact that they want you, because you are communicating back and forth with them. You are giving them information that is pertinent to the situation, and you are giving them stuff that is valuable and relevant. And with that, that's how you are going to get the listing. So in conclusion, you see 3 arrows here. That's what I suggest that everybody has, 3 arrows in their quiver, and working the expired listing should be one, although it shouldn't be the only arrow in your quiver. It should be one of 3. So, like I say, be consistent. Either you are going to work expireds or you're not. You can't go half-heartedly, half-assed at it. You've got to do it every day. Be consistent. If you want to capitalize on converting expired listings, you've got to make it a lifestyle. It's got to be something that you look forward to doing because you see revenue. So you've got to jump in and make it happen. So in this course, yes, you've got homework. What I want you to do is start thinking of how you want to contact expireds. What fits your personality? Online, offline, what is it? What do you want to do to contact them? Because you have to contact them. I also want you to start preparing your follow-up information, or at least laying it out there as to what you think you want to do. And not only that, but you've got to plan, how are you going to find the contact information of the expired listing? Are you going to use the MLS and the Haynes directory, the crisscross directory? Are you going to use Spokio? How are you going to do it? Are you going to use a third party? Which one are you going to use? Do some research. Find out which one fits your budget. And I want you to go online and start thinking of some sample scripts. Yes, we're going to get into that next week, but think of some sample scripts you might want to use on the phone or at the door. And then finally, be able to answer the question, how do you differentiate yourself from other agents? Why should I list with you? So if you can get all of that done, you might be more tired looking than she is, but get it done, because that's what we have to do to be successful with listing expireds. We've got to stay on top of it. We've got to get our homework done. So next week, we're going to talk a little more about finding your contact information. When is the best time to call? Preparing for the call, some sample scripts. That's the stuff we're going to look at next week for week 3. So look forward to it as I am. But you know what now is time for questions. So I'm opening it up. Anybody have any questions? You can drop them in the chat and I'll answer them as we wait. All righty. Thank you, and I look forward to next week.